Rip through the clouds, faster, catch us from falling close to the ground. Perish or try to fight it, parachute now. Last chance, the final moment, parachute now. And deliver us to the ground. I wanna pull the string. On and on, I feel the speed. Too far to break from pressure. Too much to bend the speed.
Welcome, everyone, to the 33rd episode of the Chris Perish podcast. My name is Chris Perish, and yes, I would be reminding you to check out our sponsors, Rogue Energy, where you can go to rogueenergy.com, find the plethora of their amazing flavors. And if you're in the U.S., you can get canned flavors as well. You can get a lot of paraphernalia, as you can get mouse pads. You can get all different types of stuff, but make sure when you're at that checkout station, you're using the promo code PERISH, PERISH, and that'll save you 10%. That's right. Now, if you want to help me get to affiliate, all you have to do is like, follow, subscribe to all platforms that you see the Chris Perish podcast on, and that will help Rogue Energy understand that I can become an affiliate, and that 10% will become 20. So help me become Rogue affiliate so I can help you gain an additional 10% when you use that promo code PERISH, PERISH. And a big thank you to Turnbuckle Studios, who the Chris Perish podcast is in affiliation with. That's right, part of the Turnbuckle affiliation program, where you can check that out on the link below at affiliationprogram.my.canva.site. Once again, that's program.my.canva.site. Turnbuckle affiliation program. You could be the very next person working alongside Turnbuckle Studios, where I will show you a video down the road, later in this episode down the road, of what all great shows and content you can find. So make sure you're checking in for that. Now that we got all of our what we call housekeeping out of the way, I want to talk about something that just happened last night. I want to talk about total nonstop action. I want to talk Slammiversary, as that's right, TNA held Slammiversary live from Montreal, and they delivered. They absolutely delivered, and they not only delivered with the main event that shocked the world, as everyone tuned in to see if the man they believe, called Joe Hendry, can walk away with that TNA World Championship. And let me tell you something, Joe Hendry had quite a performance. He even eliminated the TNA World Champion Moose. That's right. 6 men: Steve Macklin, Moose, Joe Hendry, Josh Alexander, Frankie Kazarian, and Nick Nemeth all vied for that World Championship. And just like that, that was the order of elimination. We saw Moose take out Steve Macklin, and then when all the chaos was going from one side of the arena to another, we finally got back into the ring. Joe Hendry was clearing house, and he got the standing ovation on Moose. Pins him 1, 2, 3. Montreal goes bananas. Absolutely just echo that arena. Joe Hendry has done what we all want, and that is dethroning Moose from being world champion. We are guaranteed a new champion at this point. But what you didn't expect was the Canadian himself, Josh Alexander, to kick the balls of the man we believe. That's right. Josh Alexander did what nobody thought we would see, and that was turn heel in Canada. And I am not going to lie, I thought Josh Alexander is going to win. And we're going to get Ethan Page coming out, and we're going to see the North stand tall as champions of their brands. Okay, I'm on board. That's not what we got, though. You know, I'm usually pretty good with predicting things. In fact, there might have been a rib that we put on our fellow friend who's a big Joe Hendry fan. And we might have said, hey, oh my God, we can't believe they opened up with this world title match, which they didn't. It was the main event. But we can't believe they put the title on Ziggler. Now, they didn't put the title on Ziggler, but they did. They did put it on the waist of the man who, after Josh Alexander kicked the balls of Joe Hendry, and that's exactly what he did. There's no sugarcoating. He put his boot right in the groin of Joe Hendry. Pinned him. 1, 2, 3, silence, then boos. Reigned Montreal as everyone could not believe that Joe Hendry was eliminated from this match. We are left with 3. Alexander Nemeth, Frankie Kazarian, who just took a bump off the stage through a table earlier in this match, courtesy of Nick Nemeth. We see Nick Nemeth do everything he can and get the elimination of Josh Alexander, leaving it down to Nick Nemeth, the wanted man himself, versus the TNA original, Frankie Kazarian. Now, Frankie Kazarian chasing the one title he has never won in TNA, and what an amazing story. However, after we have just seen Josh Alexander do the unthinkable, we just saw Joe Hendry get eliminated. No one knows what they want at this point. All they know is they hate Josh Alexander. Nick Nemeth just took out Josh Alexander, so the crowd is a little bit more in favor of Nick Nemeth because he was their wanted man as he became the wanted man in TNA after he defeated Frankie Kazarian. And we saw Nick Nemeth, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, actually win the TNA World Championship. So we stand today with Nick Nemeth, the new TNA Heavyweight World Champion. I am absolutely in awe right now because in what I thought was a match destined for Joe Hendry to win, they ended up pulling out a moment that I didn't even expect. Who would have expected in Montreal the Canadian to do everything the fans dislike? Now, usually it's the heel Canadian that gets cheered in Canada, right? But no, it was Josh Alexander who did the unthinkable, and he pissed off his homeland, and he is probably now villain number 1 leaving Slammiversary. An amazing main event, and yeah, if you have a chance, go check it out. Please do. We saw Mike Bailey, another fellow Canadian, defeat Mustafa Ali to become the new X Division champion. And what we saw was a very Montreal Screwjob-esque type attempt by Ali. Now, the referee was down, Bailey was down, Mustafa Ali appeared to hire the services of former WWF WWE official Earl Hebner. Come down, he puts Mike Bailey in a sharpshooter. Earl Hebner, in clear conscience, cannot screw Mike Bailey. just cannot ring the bell. This infuriates Mustafa Ali to the point where Mike Bailey ends up getting back to his feet, getting Mustafa Ali in a sharpshooter of his own to where Ali taps. And we see Mustafa Ali fall victim to Mike Bailey, where Mike Bailey becomes your new X Division champion. Now, this, in my eyes, was the match of the night. Back and forth, the moves, the counters, everything was phenomenal. Now, maybe a little over climactic. We're talking about them living off something that happened over 25 years ago. So a lot of people, Montreal will remember. Canadians will remember. But no, I don't know if everyone does. There's a lot of new wrestling fans in the last 2.5 decades. Now, in Montreal, right place, right time. Now, I was at Backlash in 2004, where WWE did the same thing. It's been done a little bit too much, in my opinion. Nonetheless, phenomenal match. I will go back and watch it again. Very happy that Mike Bailey won the X Division Championship. Mustafa Ali, phenomenal job as X Division champion. We also saw Jordynne Grace do what everyone expected, and that was beat up Ash by Elegance. Let's just say it wasn't even close. There was never a doubt. It was basically a 12-minute Jordynne Grace clinic with a couple attempts from Ash by Elegance. We saw Rosemary get involved to scare off the men with Ash by Elegance to make it a one-on-one, but Jordynne Grace, I don't think, was really reeling in this match at all. She picks up the win. It was a dominant win. I'm excited to see what's next for Jordynne Grace. You have to think something big within the NXT TNA crossover. That's what I'm predicting. I want, and this is me talking, I would love to see Natalya come out and we build to a Natalya versus Jordynne Grace match for that TNA Knockouts World Championship. That is selfishly what I would like to see. Now we go back to another homegrown talent in the city of Montreal, the state of Quebec. One PCO, 56 years young, is jumping off the top rope like he is an 18-year-old kid getting in a ring for a first time. He is putting on a clinic against AJ Francis to a point where we see PCO defeat Francis, become the new digital media champion and the International Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. We saw a tombstone piledriver by AJ Francis, where some people I was watching with thought it wasn't safe. No, it was actually picture perfect. And a lot of people are saying, why is he doing this? He's not the dead man. It's an ode. You do things out of respect. Probably even had his blessing. Fans, chill. AJ Francis, now, I will admit, he is a lot further away from being smooth in that ring, but he is definitely coming into his own. I will give him that. Very interested to see where he goes next. We also saw Santana beat Jake Something. I thought Jake Something was very impressive, and I thought Santana, this guy, I think, is a future world champion in TNA. I think the longer you get a chance to appreciate what he does in the ring, but then if you also get that opportunity to see kind of who he is on his own, I think the more you're going to want to cheer for this guy. I think Mike Santana has a good future in TNA. I cannot wait to see some gold around Mike Santana's waist. Now, from a nice little video, he was just mere feet away from an old friend of mine, JPJ, who was live in attendance, as we saw a nice little video from JPJ online. Check that out if you can. We also saw new tag team champions. That's right. Chris Bay and Ace Austin, ABC, defeated the System in Eddie Edwards and the man that used to be called Kurt Hawkins. That's right. Brian Myers himself, alongside with Alicia Edwards, Eddie Edwards' wife. ABC did everything they could. The System did everything they could. But once you take your shot against the Bullet Club, you might want to hit your mark, because if you don't, they are going to come back and get you. And that's exactly what Ace Austin and Chris Bay did. They defeated the System, became your new tag team champions. We also saw the Rascals one more time. That's right, Wesley making his way into TNA, teaming up with Zachary Wentz. And the other guy's, his name is escaping me right now, but I will remember it. But the Rascals back in TNA one more time. I mean, it was pretty good. So they defeated the No Quarter Catch Crew, and this match was actually really good. We saw a lot of technical prowess out of Charlie Dempsey and Tavion Heights. But just a very intriguing match here. Now, the finish kind of came down to a lot of high flying over the top rope, but that led to the team that we used to see in NXT, MSK, Lee and Wentz, get in the ring. They do this, their push flip moonsault finish that they always did in NXT. And let me tell you something, I did not realize how much I actually missed it. But it was nice. It was a nice little throwback to something we used to always see. Sometimes you just don't know how much you enjoyed something until it's gone. And that's something with MSK. And it was just nice to see Wesley almost get rejuvenated in this match. It almost seemed like that was exactly what he needed to get himself kind of back on track. And I'm very happy for him. And the Rascals looked good. They came out in Buzz Lightyear cosplay. It was pretty cool. I don't know. I hope we see a little bit more. I know that we're being teased with Gallus in NXT, so I hope that's something maybe we can see more or less. Trey Miguel, that was his name. Don't know why I blundered on that one, but yeah, sometimes early Sunday morning, you have a little bit of a brain fart. I'm no different. And then we also saw Broken Matt Hardy start off the main card, defeating JDC. And now, if you're wondering who JDC is, it's Dirty Dango. It's the man formerly known as Fandango. This was a nice little throwback match. Kind of two guys who you used to watch in WWE moving on in their latter parts of their career. Great match. Nothing to complain about, but nothing also to write home about. Matt Hardy picks up the win, and maybe JDC has been deleted. All in all, I thought Slammiversary was a fun show. Absolutely great. Absolutely sold out in Montreal. The place was rocking for the matches they wanted to. There were times there was definitely some lows, but there's definitely some highs. I think the fans are still in shock about what happened with Josh Alexander, Joe Hendry. And let me tell you, that is a match I didn't think I wanted to see, but now I do. And I cannot wait. Just imagine if no catch quarter crew becomes more of a thing. Can Josh Alexander join that? Now, I mentioned even Ethan Page. Now, they used to be called the North in TNA, in Impact Wrestling. Could we see a reunion? And perhaps maybe Joe Hendry tagging back up with Trick Williams, going after the team of Josh Alexander and Ethan Page? I think I would like to see that one. Here's an idea. Let's do a throwback to back when, I don't know if you guys remembered where British Bulldog and Yokozuna teamed up because Owen Hart could not make the Inner House, but they went up against the dudes with attitudes and HBK and Diesel, where the Intercontinental, the Heavyweight Championship, and the tag titles were all defended in that same match. Winner takes all. That's my, this is my thing right now. You put a championship on maybe Josh Alexander or even Joe Hendry, but you do that where you put a TNA title on one of them, and then we can see an NXT title against a TNA title. First time ever. Winner takes both. Come on. Let's do this crossover. Let's finally really take the first real shot, shall we? Let's see either a TNA superstar with an NXT title or an NXT wrestler with a TNA title. What do you say? Is it time? I think the time is now. Also, speaking of the time is now, the one thing that we heard before, a kid asked Joe Hendry at the press conference that if he was to become TNA World Champion, what would he do? What would be his dream match? And he said he would want to call out John Cena. I'm a little bit disappointed that we didn't get that, at the very least. I would have loved to see Joe Hendry call out John Cena on TNA. Because how cool would it have been at, say, Bound for Glory, Joe Hendry versus John Cena for that TNA World Championship. Just going to throw it out there. Yeah, I don't know. But very curious to see kind of what John Cena's next year is going to be. Is he going to do any of that crossover? We know Joe Hendry has spoke very highly about wanting to face John Cena. Could we see that match? Remains to be seen, but I know I would love to see it. Let me know if you would love to see it. Moving on, as I'm going to play a little video of what you can expect to see from the crew over at Turnbuckle Studios. It's a calendar based on all the great programming. So, with no further ado, check this out. Now that's what we have over at Turnbuckle Studios, all the great programming, as you see, Chris Perish podcast included, and that's very much with help from the Turnbuckle affiliation program. So once again, go check out Turnbuckle Studios and then affiliation program link. And that link, if you want it again, scrolling down the bottom of your screen, it's affiliation program. .my.canva.site. We are just weeks away. In fact, we are 2 weeks away from the largest party of the summer. That's right. It is July 21, today. In 2 weeks, August 4th, August 3rd, actually. 2 weeks, we'll be talking about SummerSlam. And oh my God, what a show it was. But you know what? Before we talk about SummerSlam that's live in 2 weeks, a lot of people know that I will be going on vacation this week. Next Sunday, you will see an episode of the Chris Perish podcast with an interview with Sel at Crack. But August 4th is wide open. But we got you covered. That's right. We got someone. I'm going to do a second interview, not with Sal, but a second interview with a friend of mine. He is from the Pure Power Wrestling. He has done some Love Pro Wrestling shows. He has traveled alongside. He even has an article in the Ear, which is the newsletter to the Cauliflower Alley Club. We'll talk a little bit more about that in that interview in 2 weeks. But if you're asking who it is, well, it's PPW official Curtis Barnum. That is right. Curtis Barnum is going to join me in a pre-recorded interview that will air on August 4th at the same time, 12:15 p.m. Eastern Time, on all the same platforms. And you're going to be able to get to know Curtis a little bit more. You're going to understand his road into pro wrestling as an official and how he became known as the Count. So come check out the Chris Perish podcast. That will be episode 35 on August 4th with Curtis Barnum. But the wrestling show in 2 weeks, SummerSlam, absolutely getting stacked right now. On Friday, we just got the confirmation that Logan Paul will defend his championship against the man. Everybody's saying LA Knight. Yeah. We already know that Cody Rhodes will defend his WWE Undisputed Universal Championship against the modern day Tribal Chief Solo Sikoa. And that match is getting interesting. We saw Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens team up on SmackDown against A-Town Down Under, only to pick up the win, but then get absolutely beat down by the Bloodline. Jacob Fatu did exactly what he did to Randy Orton to Kevin Owens, while the rest of the Bloodline made Cody watch. It's almost as a trend now. Anybody who's close to Cody, anybody who partners up with Cody, is in the line of the Bloodline, and they will make sure Cody knows it's his fault to why the Bloodline is doing what they got to do. It's becoming a very fascinating story, and I am very much excited to see what the payoff is at SummerSlam. Do we see Solo do the unthinkable and become the new undisputed Universal WWE Heavyweight Champion? Or do we see Cody Rhodes defy all odds? Or is there something else to be expected? That is going to be intriguing. The rumor mill is circulating that a certain dog could be returning. The original Tribal Chief. To a lot of people, still their Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, much likely to return, as the rumors tell me. Now, whether or not this is set in stone, I have no idea. I don't work there. I don't have any of this information. They don't tell me nothing. I'm not working in that little field. All I could tell you is that's what's being talked about. A lot of sources, a lot of big time sites are saying, look out for a potential return from Roman Reigns. So if it's on the internet, it must be true, right? So let's just play devil's advocate. Let's assume. Actually, let's not. Let's presume that Roman Reigns returns at SummerSlam. And he does what we all expect him to do, and that is go after Solo Sikoa. Now, Roman Reigns should know, based on his past, you can't go after the bloodline alone, right? That would be silly. He probably can't help or fight side by side with guys like Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes. He has a history of doing everything Solo's done to them. So what does he do? Does he bring back an army? Does he make a new army? What does he do? How does Roman Reigns come back? Because we all know why. We all know why he wants to come back. He wants to regain his seat at the table, right? There's no way Roman Reigns is relaxed, just sitting at the sidelines, seeing somebody else take his spot. No. Not to mention, who's to say his story with Cody Rhodes is finished? The way he could look at it, it might just be one, right? Roman won at 39, Cody won at 40. The way I look at it, that's a tie. I don't think the original head of the table, the original tribal chief, the man we should all acknowledge is happy with ties. No. So who's to say what his attention is going to be at if he was to return at SummerSlam? Maybe, just maybe, comes back. Maybe he wrecks everyone and leaves. He's done that before at SummerSlam. No. Needless to say, I think he, at the very least, will come back with a wise man by his side. Just like how everything all started, it was Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. So what better way to head into the biggest chapter of the bloodline that almost take me back to the beginning? I don't know. I think that could be very intriguing. Another match on the card for SummerSlam is the King of the Ring winner, Gunther, going one-on-one with World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest. And I am not going to lie, people. I am in a place where I don't know who I want to win, because as much as I want Gunther to win every title, I also am starting to enjoy Damian Priest as World Heavyweight Champion. And I feel he's starting to finally click for me. I want to see more of what's going on within the Judgment Day. I feel the Judgment Day is one of the biggest stories on Raw, alongside with Drew and CM Punk, mixed in a little Seth Rollins. I think between the two, those are the major two stories of why I'm tuning in every Monday night to Monday Night Raw, where you can check out that tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time as Raw Patrol surveys the scene of WWE with the Monday Night Raw watch along. So go check that out tomorrow night, where you will see the final run-in for a few weeks by yours truly. But I don't know. Damian Priest, he's just been clicking to me, or clicking on the screen. It's just his win over Braun Strowman, I thought was absolutely necessary. I love the fact that it was without a doubt him beating Braun. It was a statement. It should be, look, I beat you. Stop messing with our group. You are no longer allowed around us. Now, also, we do know that Braun Strowman went to the PC to look at medical about his knee, that he suffered a potential knee injury. Nothing of substance has popped out yet in terms of information, so hoping that nothing is serious, nothing is damaging to Braun Strowman. But needless to say, I also would like to see Braun Strowman away from the Judgment Day moving forward. That to me is just, especially with Rhea Ripley coming back, that has taken a turn of intrigue for me. And Damian Priest at the helm seems like he takes no part in the BS that happens within the Judgment Day, but just handle his own business now. And it's, I don't know, I'm kind of there for it. Now, I don't think Gunther beats him dominantly at SummerSlam. But I still do think Gunther walks out of Cleveland, Ohio, your new world heavyweight champion. And it's, man, how many times have you seen somebody win the title at WrestleMania and lose it at SummerSlam? Yeah, I mean, it happens almost. If it doesn't happen every year, it happens almost every other year. So, we have a few of those champions still, right? You have Damian Priest, you have Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, Bayley. They all won the championships at WrestleMania, and they're heading into SummerSlam with those titles as well. They're all in jeopardy of losing them too. So yeah, like I do have Gunther beating Damian Priest. I just don't know if I truly want to see Damian Priest lose the title right now. I'm starting to really get into this reign. But yeah. We have, as I said, Nia Jax, the queen of the ring, going up against Bayley. I think I'm ready to see Bayley drop this title, at least for now. I don't think she's had a bad run. I just don't think she's done anything of substance yet with it. And that's unfortunate, because I feel the story with her in Damage Control kind of was going here for a bit and then took a little dive and then finally picked back up at WrestleMania. And that was a nice culmination to that story. But it all seemed to be really quick for me. And then we seen Bayley go up against Piper Niven, Chelsea Green, and those are all great matches. It's just nothing really of substance, and that's why I think right now maybe Bayley is destined to be that chase. But then you also look on what happened on SmackDown, where she cost Tiffany Stratton the match against Michin, and then just absolutely went to town on the briefcase. I mean, she wrecked that thing like you wouldn't believe, thus prolonging what we already were expecting, and that was a custom briefcase for Tiffany Stratton. I think that's something to be expected. But maybe, just maybe, we see Bayley defeat Nia Jax, but get cashed in by Tiffany Stratton at SummerSlam. I don't know, but I don't think Bayley walks out of Cleveland with the title. I just don't. Whether it's Nia, whether it's Tiffany, one of those two. And I'm more or less leaning towards Nia for the sole purpose that this Money in the Bank briefcase destroying by Bayley and potentially unveiling of a new briefcase, I don't think it's only going to last for a couple weeks. So that's why I don't think Tiffany Stratton walks out of Cleveland with the championship. So I think Nia Jax becomes the new WWE Women's Champion at SummerSlam. That is my bold prediction. Not to mention, if she wins this match and we have a chase on our hands with Bayley, and maybe Bayley retains it again and then gets cashed on by Tiffany Stratton, and then you can run with that for a bit. Okay, now we're talking about 6 months here where we can work with the title around 2 to 3, potentially a fourth person. And it's all relatively fresh. Bayley was a champion. She meets up with the force that she just doesn't have an answer for. She fights back, finally gets it, only to have that just stolen away from her by technicality from Tiffany Stratton. I mean, okay, like I'm there for it. And then another match that I don't know if it's been completely announced, but I think it's pretty much set in stone, and that is Liv Morgan defending her Women's World Championship against Rhea Ripley. And sadly to say, I see Rhea Ripley just beating the crap out of her and taking back the championship. But I do think there's going to be something big in this match. I have a feeling we're going to see Dominic Mysterio completely show his allegiance to Rhea at SummerSlam. And that's going to be our feel-good story. But then I have a feeling we're going to see a tease with Finn Balor and Liv Morgan in some capacity, because I have a feeling Finn Balor could be the reason why Damian Priest doesn't walk out with that championship. That is my thought. And then the match where I'm going to actually pose this to everyone. And if you go on Spotify, where episode 33 of the Chris Perish podcast will be downloaded to directly after its live finish. And that is also something I do want to let everyone know. The next 2 episodes of the Chris Perish podcast, yes, you will be able to see it on the Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. The interviews with Sal and with Curtis, they will be pre-recorded interviews on those 3 platforms. However, there will also be a scheduled upload time of the exact time it starts on Spotify as well. So if you happen to watch this more on Spotify, or you're more of a Spotify user, you will be able to check out the Chris Perish podcast live at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Time on Spotify for the next 2 weeks. And then please let me know if that's something you want to see continue, and I will try to see if I can make that work. Now, getting back to this match that, again, it hasn't been official. It's much rumored, but that is Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk. And I am just going to lay this one out. Does this match deserve the main event spot at SummerSlam? This is, I think, the biggest story. And yes, you can talk about, well, it's Cody versus the Bloodline, but it's a new incarnation of the Bloodline. It's Cody versus someone else not named Roman Reigns. It's a whole different group than what he had going into WrestleMania 40. But we saw Drew McIntyre and CM Punk basically Royal Rumble since, and this is almost an 8-month in the making match, I think it warrants a heavy consideration for the main event spot at SummerSlam. I really do. When you factor in Seth Rollins could be involved, and I do think the reason why we're seeing involvement from Seth Rollins has a lot to do with whether or not CM Punk gets medically cleared or not, because if he doesn't, we might be going to Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. But then if CM Punk is cleared, I think it stays a singles match. But I do think we have some involvement from Seth Rollins at some point. So that, to me, this is all very intriguing, because I've talked about SummerSlam and the rumored matches, 6 matches right now, and I would be surprised if we don't get at least one more. But notable names not in matches on this card already are Jey Uso and Seth Rollins. I think it's very intriguing right now that we can see something of value both with Jey Uso and Seth Rollins. I think Seth Rollins, as I was talking about, is going to play a part in the Drew McIntyre CM Punk if that happens. I think Jey Uso I think the fact that he's not in anything is designed for that specifically. We haven't seen Jimmy Uso on TV. We don't necessarily have Jey Uso in anything specifically. We're talking about Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman coming back. Could the original bloodline reunite? Now, I also talk about another match being potentially added, and that match I do believe will be either a triple threat or a singles match for the Intercontinental Championship. Either Sami Zayn will defend it against Braun Breaker, or we will see the addition of Ilya Dragunov, and that will become a triple threat match for the IC title at SummerSlam. I do think that is more locked in as being another match added. Now, is it a singles? Is it a triple threat? That remains to be seen. But I will say Ilya Dragunov does have DQ wins over both Braun Breaker and Sami Zayn. So he does have technical victories over both competitors, which in my eyes puts him right there. But not needless to say, if Braun Breaker is in an Intercontinental title match at SummerSlam, I believe Braun Breaker walks out SummerSlam Intercontinental Championship. I don't think that is. A lot of people thought maybe it should have happened in Money in the Bank. I think there's probably reasons why it didn't. But yeah, I do think moving forward we'll see Braun Breaker as your IC champion. And I think now that he has when he has a championship on Raw, it's kind of hard for Adam Pearce to suspend him, do anything like that when he holds that much more power as a champion on his brand. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about that. But yeah, just kind of going back to the notable names, not in a match, not rumored to be in a match. Jey Uso, that to me is a big one. Now, would you consider Jey Uso as your host of SummerSlam? Could we see Yeetland be a thing? I don't know. So Cleveland, it's Yeetland. See what I did there. But yeah, I'm very intrigued with what they could do, but I do think it's very intriguing that we're hearing rumors that Jimmy Uso is cleared to come back. We're hearing the rumors of Roman could be returning at SummerSlam, and then Jey Uso has nothing specific going on, just the 3 original members of the bloodline just right there. You don't think that's by design? You don't think there's something more into that we could see? I don't know. I'm very intrigued by it. I think this is very much something that was designed by. And with Triple H under the helm of WWE, with all these storylines connecting in some way, yeah, I do think that this is something that we could see very much. Now I'm just kind of going through my notes. There's two more things I do want to briefly mention or talk about, and that is on NXT this past Tuesday, we saw the man. Now we talked about get turned on by Josh Alexander. Joe Hendry mentioned that he likes NXT and that he's gonna stay. He's gonna stick around. We could see Joe Hendry versus Ethan Page for the NXT Championship. We could see a lot involving Joe Hendry in NXT. I think I would like it, but the one thing I'm going to ask very much is please don't overdo it. I feel there is something special with what you have right now. He's on a wave that is very much fun to ride at this point. But I do feel that if you overdo it, it could go like that. And I don't want it to. I think we need to do something of value quick. But I just also don't want to see Joe Hendry in every segment. I want to see his appearances be special and meaningful. Please do not overdo Joe Hendry. Please keep this special so we can enjoy it. And that's kind of the main thing here. Like I really don't want Joe Hendry to just be a flash in the pan. I don't think he is. Like I really don't think he is. But you've seen it before. When something hits, and then you just play with the toy too much, and then all of a sudden something else comes, and people gravitate towards that. I'm not saying that's going to happen. You just see it a lot, and I really don't want Joe Hendry to be that toy that gets played with too much, and then people shy away because something else comes out. Oh, what do you guys think? What else? Oh, yeah. For a lot of people, there's a lot of criticisms about AEW's live attendance over the last few months, and what they did on Collision the other day was pretty awesome. They went to a smaller venue, and the atmosphere was amazing. People had a chance to watch Collision last night. The atmosphere to that show was great. They had a very good audience. They kind of just tightened up things. But then what we actually saw was pretty cool. We saw the debut to the hologram character. And needless to say, if people think, oh, is that Ricochet or is that so-and-so? I don't know. But all I know is hologram can go, man. That was a very impressive debut. I like kind of what they're doing on Collision. If that's going to be how Collision is presented moving forward, I'm digging it. I'm really digging it. And not to mention, we saw new trios champions in Christian Cage and the Patriarchy there, Nick Wayne and Killswitch, formerly known as Luchasaurus. And the reason was because they had to strip the Bang Bang Gang, Jay White, Juice Robinson, and I want to say the Ass Boys, but it's the Gun Club. But Jay White got hurt. They tried just putting Juice Robinson in his place. Christopher Daniels said no, but he said, what I can do You guys are in a match. You guys win. You guys keep them, but you guys lose. You lose the titles, and that's how we got the match. And Christian ended up getting the pinfall win and now becomes a trio champion alongside Killswitch and Nick Wayne. Also, scary spot happened in the Sky Blue match where it looks like maybe Sky Blue could have broke her leg. I don't know yet what's happened. I have not read up on it. I have not looked into it, but scary spot, and I really hope she is okay. But I am going to let you guys go for this week. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has decided to watch and support the Chris Perish podcast. I appreciate you. I will support you. Please make sure and don't forget to hit that follow, that like, all that good stuff. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit that thumbs up. It goes a long way. A lot of people don't know how much something that little does such a big thing. It helps not only the analytics, it helps the channel, it helps the growth, and that is very essential to anywhere I want to get to as a creator. So if you can do that, if you're on the Twitch, obviously hit the follow, hit that subscribe if you can. I'm not going to ask people for money, but what I do want and will ask is just take that time to click a button and hit follow, hit like, hit all the good stuff. If we're on Facebook, share, hit like a little emote, things like that, stuff that is free to do. If you can do that, that'd be amazing, and I appreciate that. I am Chris Perish. This has been the Chris Perish podcast. Thank you. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and go Saints.